Have you ever noticed how olive oil looks deep green or golden when it's raw, but the second it hits the pan and starts to heat, the color shifts? Suddenly it looks lighter, less vibrant, maybe even slightly brownish. What's happening here? Is the oil going bad? Is it turning toxic? Or is this just normal kitchen science? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why olive oil changes color when cooked, but also how heat affects its nutrients, flavor, and health benefits. This is the kind of insight that will make you a smarter cook and help you get the very best out of your olive oil. So let's get started without wasting any more time. Olive oil, when raw, is usually a rich golden yellow, sometimes with a green tint if it's extra virgin. But the moment it heats up in your pan, it often looks different. The vibrant hues fade. The oil may look lighter or more transparent, and sometimes it even takes on a slightly brownish tinge if cooked longer. At first glance, this looks like magic, but it's pure science. The color of olive oil comes mainly from pigments like chlorophyll, which gives a greenish hue, and carotenoids like beta-carotene, which add golden and orange tones. These are natural plant compounds that not only give color, but also contribute to antioxidant activity. When you heat olive oil, two things happen. First, those pigments start to degrade because heat speeds up chemical breakdown. Second, heat changes how light refracts through the oil, making it appear different to your eyes. That's why the same olive oil can look deep green when cool and pale golden once hot. If the heat is high enough or prolonged, something else comes into play. Reactions like the Maillard reaction and mild browning processes can occur, especially if there are tiny food particles in the oil. These can darken the oil slightly, giving it a cooked look that is very different from the fresh raw glow of extra virgin olive oil. But color is just one piece of the story. Heat also changes olive oil's nutrient profile. Olive oil is famous for its polyphenols, vitamin E, and other antioxidants that help protect your body from oxidative stress. These compounds are sensitive to heat, and yes, cooking does reduce their levels. For example, vitamin E degrades at higher temperatures, and polyphenols gradually diminish. But here's the key point. Even after heating, olive oil still retains more antioxidants than many refined seed oils. That's one reason why olive oil remains a smart choice for cooking despite these changes. This brings us to the question of smoke point, something often brought up in cooking discussions. The smoke point is the temperature at which oil begins to smoke visibly and break down into unwanted compounds. For extra virgin olive oil, the smoke point is usually around 375 to 410 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on quality and purity. Refined olive oils, like light olive oil, have higher smoke points, closer to 465 degrees. Now here's where some myths need busting. You've probably heard people warn against cooking with olive oil, saying it becomes toxic when heated. But research shows that olive oil is actually more stable than many common vegetable oils because it has a relatively high proportion of monounsaturated fats, which are more resistant to oxidation compared to the polyunsaturated fats in oils like soybean, sunflower, or corn oil. In fact, studies comparing oils under frying conditions found that extra virgin olive oil produced fewer harmful oxidation products than seed oils. So no, olive oil doesn't suddenly turn toxic when heated within normal cooking ranges. The real difference between extra virgin olive oil and refined olive oil comes down to stability and flavor. Extra virgin is minimally processed, packed with antioxidants, and has that signature peppery, fruity taste. It's fantastic for drizzling over salads, bread, or cooked dishes as a finishing oil. But because of its lower smoke point and stronger flavor, it may not always be the best for high heat frying. Refined olive oils, on the other hand, have fewer antioxidants and a milder flavor, but can handle higher temperatures better. This makes them suitable for deep frying or high heat roasting, though you lose some of the unique health benefits that come with extra virgin. So, how do you use olive oil wisely in your kitchen? Think of it this way. If you're cooking at moderate heat, like sautéing vegetables or making a stir fry, extra virgin olive oil works beautifully and still retains plenty of health benefits. If you're roasting at very high temperatures or frying, refined olive oil or a mix of oils may be better. And if you want to maximize both flavor and nutrients, use extra virgin olive oil raw as a finishing touch. on salads, pasta, soups, or even drizzled over grilled meats and vegetables right before serving. Here's a practical example. Say you're cooking a pan of vegetables. Start with a small amount of refined olive oil if you're using very high heat. Then, after cooking, drizzle some high-quality extra virgin olive oil over the finished dish. This way, you get the stability for cooking and the full antioxidant boost and flavor of raw olive oil at the table. Let's return to that color change for a moment. It's not just a cosmetic issue, it's a signal that the compounds in your oil are shifting. Chlorophylls, those green pigments, degrade fairly quickly under heat, which is why raw olive oil looks greener than heated oil. Carotenoids also degrade but more slowly, giving the oil a paler golden look. As light refraction changes, the oil simply looks different to our eyes, even before major chemical changes occur. It's kind of like how honey looks darker when heated, or how sugar syrup changes transparency as it boils. Heat always alters the way light interacts with food. Now, how does this affect taste? When olive oil is heated, you lose some of its fresh, grassy, peppery notes that make extra virgin olive oil so distinctive. At higher heat, it can even develop slightly bitter or burnt undertones if you push it past the smoke point. That's another reason to match the oil to the cooking method. If you love that signature olive oil flavor, save it for drizzling or low to medium heat cooking. If you just need a neutral, stable oil, refined olive oil might be the better tool. It's also worth mentioning the cultural perspective. In Mediterranean regions like Spain, Italy, and Greece, olive oil is used for everything, from frying fish to slow-cooking stews. Generations of people have thrived on diets rich in olive oil, even when heated. The Mediterranean diet, which is strongly associated with heart health and longevity, relies heavily on olive oil, both raw and cooked. That's a pretty strong real-world case against the myth that heating olive oil makes it harmful. Let's quickly touch on comparisons with other oils. Sunflower, corn, and soybean oils often have higher smoke points than extra virgin olive oil, but they also contain more polyunsaturated fats, which are less stable and more likely to oxidize into harmful compounds when heated. Olive oil, thanks to its monounsaturated fat and antioxidant content, actually performs better under typical cooking conditions than many of these supposedly safer oils. Coconut oil and avocado oil are also stable options, but olive oil brings a unique balance of health benefits and flavor that is hard to beat. So what's the bottom line? Olive oil changes color when heated because pigments like chlorophyll and carotenoids degrade, and heat changes how light passes through the oil. Along the way, some antioxidants are lost, and the flavor shifts, but the oil remains stable and safe to cook with. Extra virgin olive oil shines in moderate cooking and raw applications, while refined olive oil handles high heat better, but with fewer nutrients. The myths about olive oil turning toxic under normal cooking conditions simply don't hold up against science or centuries of culinary tradition. If you are using zinc supplements, I have made a detailed video on why you shouldn't take them alone and what's the right way of taking them.